Welcome back. Now, sleep is essential for our health, yet 2/3 of adults don't get the recommended 8 hours of sleep a night. According to the World Health Organization, which has declared sleep loss an epidemic throughout industrialized nations, World Sleep Day on March the 15th is a call to action to address the burden of sleep problems on the individual and society through better prevention and management of sleep disorders. Last year, 55 countries participated in World Sleep Day, and now it's in its 12th year, and the theme is healthy sleep, healthy aging. Joining us in studio right now is the CEO of Making Resilient People, Joni Peddie. I hope I said your name correctly. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today. Why is sleep so important?
It's essential for your health, every dimension of health, but mostly actually our brains. So every day as we're going about our business, we build up toxins in our brain. It's called beta amyloid. And what we need to do when we have that deep, slow wave sleep is to get rid of the toxins out of our brain. And any inflammation in our bodies or our brain leads to disease. So it's obesity, it's cancer, it's hypertension, it's dementia, it's Alzheimer's. So a multitude of diseases, and that's why sleep is essential to reboot the body, a bit like you reboot your computer or your cell phone. It's really absolutely a must. And your earlier point, Desiree, around the 8 hours is yes, between 7 and 8 hours are what we need every single night.
But you know, a person can look at watching this conversation can say, but we sleep every night.
Yes.
Is it some sort of specific way of sleeping that you need to be doing it?
Yes, there is. So there's quantity. Quantity is not enough. There is a specific way, which is your question. It's quality that's really important.
All right.
So this is how sleep works. You go through stage 1, stage 2. If you hear a dog bark or something slam, you wake up quite quickly. But stage 3 and stage 4 is the way you need to sleep. That's the deep sleep, exactly. And then you have a rapid eye movement, which is your dreaming. And you have about 5 or 6 of those cycles during the night. But those stage 3 and stage 4 is the deep sleep required to get rid of inflammation out of the body. So that quality is actually more important than quantity.
You talking about it seemingly from our conversation, and I can, as I'm listening, from a scientific point of view.
Yes.
How does an ordinary person approach this?
So ordinary person really needs to give up a few things in life. And the giving up a few things is TV, unfortunately, for an hour before you go to sleep. Secondly, our cell phones or mobile phones, our laptops, and any other device. So the ordinary person needs to now relearn that sleep is so important for health that for 1 hour...
you plan it.
You plan it and you prioritize it. So for 1 hour before you go to sleep, switch off everything so that you do not have any of that blue light going into your eyes, which goes into your pineal gland. And your pineal gland produces that beautiful, strong melatonin that gives you that quality sleep that we spoke about.
So what to do? We prioritize sleep.
Yes.
What kind of illnesses are we trying to avoid? You mentioned quite a few just now.
So we mentioned, definitely obesity. The body is a very interesting ecosystem. When we do not sleep enough, we produce ghrelin. That's a hormone that says the next day, hey, I want something sugary or starchy or a Chelsea bun. So we really crave
just
that.
To make up.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
and
right.
if it's constant, then it creates other problems.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if it's constant, that will lead to diabetes too, which is also linked to sleep. But the second thing, our hormone leptin in our body. If we have insufficient sleep, we do not produce enough leptin. What does that mean? That means, hey, you have one plate of food for lunch and you feel satiated, you feel full. So leptin is that satiation hormone. So the body's really clever. If we're not sleeping enough, hormonal changes happen, and that's disastrous for health.
So why was there a need for World Sleep Day?
Well, we have this epidemic, as you said earlier. 80% of people are not sleeping the way they should. And we're starting to see that 44% of people are saying, I'm not sleeping as well as I did 5 years ago. That research came out 6 days ago, 12,000 people, so it's substantive research. People are saying, I'm so distracted, I worry a lot at night, I'm stressed, and I battle to simmer down. So I'm wired but I'm really tired. So we've got to start to relearn some of the sleep hygiene. What are we doing for that last hour before we go to sleep? Are our bedrooms cool enough? Do we have dark bedrooms? If we don't have dark bedrooms, we should wear an eye mask so that we block out all the light. So starting to learn about this as the epicenter of health and well-being, and really prioritizing it, as we said earlier.
What are some of the other highlights of this research?
The other highlights are saying that we really are drinking too much alcohol at night, and that affects your sleep. We're eating sugary foods at night.
Good luck with trying to reverse the alcohol bit.
Exactly. A lot of people say, hey, Joni, I need to sit down and watch some sport and have a whiskey or whatever, and that's the way I simmer down from the day.
Yeah.
So that came out in research. And then what also came out in research is that people still are not triggering the connection between caffeine and sleep. So they're thinking, okay, after dinner I won't have coffee, but we need to stop drinking coffee and tea at 2 o'clock in the afternoon if we're going to bed at 9 or 10 at night. It's got about a 7-hour half-life in our bodies.
Yeah.
So that research came out, and the research that actually this affects emotional intelligence of our younger generation, and how wired they are to social media, and how bad that is for their sleep in terms of interfering with their sleep.
So comparatively, how do you compare the benefits of sleeping for 8 hours, or those people, a colleague of mine just asked me in the ear, if you sleep for 20 minutes and you feel refreshed already,
yes.
So those power naps during the day,
yes.
Do those work?
They definitely do, and many organizations have power nap rooms now, so it's a hell of a good idea.
Okay.
And 20 minutes, you spot on, is the right amount of time. That's kind of a half a cycle, so you're not getting into that deep slow wave sleep, but it's really refreshing. So organizations are starting to say, hey, after lunch, instead of people reaching out for slap chips or a bar one or something like that, let's give them a power nap room and let them sleep for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So many of our people, especially in South Africa, are leaving home in the dark, getting home in the dark, and actually prioritizing sleep is a problem on many levels. So if you provide sleep rooms in the offices, upskill, build awareness campaigns around those benefits of a quick power nap in the afternoon, you'll find that your brain is sharper.
Yeah.
So your problem solving, your critical thinking, even your creativity is boosted in the afternoon if you've had that 20-minute power nap.
So, Joni, we've seen a lot of activism around efforts to encourage people to sleep properly. I remember we interviewed that Huffington a lady once.
Ariana.
She's written about 2 books about it. What is the end game? What kind of society do we hope to see eventually once people have gotten into the proper patterns of sleeping?
Yeah, it's a good question. The end game is we want to reduce the burden of disease on society. So in our country, health and the health problems are huge. And diabetes is growing exponentially, the hypertensions, as I said, the Alzheimer's, the dementia, and we want society not to be burdened with those huge costs, never mind the physical costs, but the emotional costs of losing loved ones far earlier in life than we should be.
Yeah.
So that's huge. And then, of course, we've got to look at this beautiful balance between productivity, what we're doing for work.
In a society that encourages you to be competitive.
That's it. Yeah. And we are trying to boost in South Africa entrepreneurialism.
We want to grow the economy.
We want to grow the economy.
So no time for sleep. Yeah.
No, but we want entrepreneurs that find a niche and they love what they do, but they've got that beautiful balance in life, because they've got to think about where to
So that's the important word, balance.
Balance, and also our thinking capability. I think as South Africans, we have tremendous grit. We have this ability to power through. We go to the brink of the edge of disaster and we reel back. And part of that is an asset and part of that's a liability. So if we've got great grit, that's fantastic. But actually sometimes we are living in the state of brain fog with good grit and not realizing that we are missing out a lot as a result of insufficient sleep. So if you have more sleep, you can think clearly, who's your target market, what little business you want to grow, what you're going to do differently to make yourself stand out.
Yeah.
And that requires more than grit to create, lateral thinking is what we need.
You sound so energetic. How do you apply this to your own personal life?
I am vociferous. I'm like the sleep police. So I get up at 4:30 every morning. So I absolutely start making my way to bed at 8 8:30 at night.
Yeah.
I read a novel, a bit like Ariana does as well. So I'm reading Michelle Obama at the moment.
Oh yeah, that beautiful,
I
amazing
love
book.
that book.
Yeah.
So I say to my children, I'm off to bed with Michelle.
You have to read it over and over and over again.
I'm lapping it up. I'm so loving the way she writes as well. Not only her story and her authenticity, but the way she
takes you along.
She takes you along.
So what does Making Resilient People do?
We look at 3 aspects of resilience. The first is sleep. So it's sleep to be brain fit. The second is emotional intelligence. So how do we self-manage in the society where we want to be productive, but we want to be humane? And then the third, I wrote a book called FAB, F-A-B.
Yeah.
And that really is saying if we fuel this ecosystem properly, we A, activate our brains, and B, we behave well towards each other. The world, Desiree, needs more compassion. So self-compassion and compassion towards others. So I train leaders, teams, entrepreneurs to really look at their FAB quotient, their sleep, and their emotional quotient.
Oh wow, that's awesome. How do people get a hold of you?
www.resilientpeople.coza.
Stunning. Thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful conversation. Do you think... I wanted to ask you, I left this one out.
Yes.
Particularly with South Africans, what's making them lose sleep?
One in 3 South Africans are anxious or depressed. I think we have far bigger problems in this country around that area of anxiety and depression than we realize. And that keeps people awake at night, literally. Or they're exhausted. We are all exhausted, so we sleep easily when we put our heads on our pillows. But many, many people, Desiree, I speak to, wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, worrying.
Yeah.
What about this? What about that? How do I pay for those school fees? What do I do here, etc., etc.? So we suffer tremendous worry and anxiety in this country.
And it's not helping out.
It's not helping out.
Joni Peddie from Making Resilient People. She's the CEO and talking to us about the importance of sleep. Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching